There has been a strange rhythm developing around this Cowboys offense over the last stretch of games, and it is something that keeps showing up no matter who the opponent is. Early on, the unit looks sharp, confident, and fully in control. Drives flow, the tempo feels right, and points come quickly. Seeing the team put up 21 or 24 points before halftime should signal a dominant afternoon ahead, especially when the matchup does not feature an elite defense. But once the second half begins, the energy shifts, the play calling tightens, the execution drops just enough to matter, and suddenly the offense that looked unstoppable starts leaving opportunities on the field. What makes this even more frustrating is that the raw production is still there. The ground game has delivered massive numbers, including games where the Cowboys rushed for over 100 yards. That kind of output usually guarantees control of the clock and constant pressure on the opposing defense, yet despite that advantage, the offense has struggled to consistently close drives. When it matters most, long marches end in stalled possessions. Red zone chances do not turn into touchdowns, and games that should turn into blowouts remain far closer than they ever should be, against teams that are clearly overmatched on paper. This lack of a finishing instinct becomes impossible to ignore. The matchup with Washington only amplified those concerns. This was a game where Dallas had every opportunity to put the result away early and make a statement. Instead, the door stayed open, allowing that team to hang around, let alone score over 20 points, raises serious questions about focus and urgency. When the Cowboys face stronger opponents, these lapses become far more dangerous. It is one thing to survive inconsistency against a rebuilding roster, but it becomes a recipe for losses against disciplined, playoff-level teams. Dak Prescott's performance sits at the center of this discussion, and it is more complex than a simple box score evaluation from an efficiency standpoint. He continues to rank among the best when it comes to avoiding sacks under pressure. That tells you he is processing quickly and generally making the right reads at the same time. There are moments where he holds the ball just a beat too long or absorbs hits that could have been avoided with better protection or quicker routes developing downfield. Those moments stall drives and disrupt rhythm, especially later in games when defenses adjust and tighten coverage. The offensive line plays a major role in that equation. Injuries and constant shuffling have prevented this unit from developing true cohesion. The right tackle position, in particular, has been a recurring problem. Different players have rotated through that spot, and while there have been flashes of competence, there has been no sense of stability. That lack of trust forces the offense to compensate with quicker throws or additional blockers, which limits creativity and predictability. On the left side, questions remain as well, and it is clear that this group is far from a finished product. Despite those issues, the running game continues to be one of the few consistently reliable elements of the offense. When Dallas commits to it, defenses wear down, lanes open, linebackers hesitate, and the entire structure of the opposing scheme begins to crack. The problem is not production, but translation. Piling up rushing yards does not automatically translate to points if situational execution breaks down. Short yardage plays, red zone decisions, and third down conversions have all been areas where the Cowboys have left points on the field. This offensive inconsistency would be easier to stomach if the defense were able to consistently compensate, but that has not been the case. Too often, the defense has allowed explosive plays that immediately undo the offense's hard work. Long runs through missed gaps, deep completions against soft coverage, and breakdowns after turnovers have become familiar sights. Allowing over 20 points to an offense that struggles week to week is not just disappointing. It is alarming. It points to structural issues that go beyond individual mistakes. The season as a whole has placed the Cowboys in an awkward middle ground. They are not at the bottom of the standings, but they are not firmly positioned among the elite either. Each win feels necessary for confidence, while each loss quietly shifts the conversation toward draft positioning and long-term planning. No team enters a game planning to lose, but the reality of the league means every outcome has ripple effects beyond the current week. As it stands, Dallas appears headed toward a mid-first round draft selection, a spot that brings both opportunity and pressure. That uncertainty adds another layer to how these remaining games are viewed. There is a balance between pushing veterans to finish strong and using opportunities to evaluate younger players. Every snap becomes a data point, not just for winning today, but for shaping the roster tomorrow. Performances along the offensive line, in the secondary, and at linebacker carry extra weight because those positions are clearly under scrutiny. Heading into the offseason, one player who continues to stand out within this uneven landscape is George Pickens. His presence in the passing game changes how defenses line up, and his ability to stretch the field creates space for others to operate. Retaining him feels less like a luxury and more like a necessity. Whether through long-term commitment or short-term control, keeping that kind of playmaking ability in the building provides continuity for an offense that desperately needs stability. His production has not been the problem. The challenge has been maximizing his impact within a system that sometimes struggles to sustain aggression. Defensively, the list of questions is even longer. The inability to consistently stop big plays suggests issues with both personnel and scheme. Communication breakdowns have led to blown coverages, while missed tackles have turned modest gains into momentum-swinging moments. Linebacker play has been inconsistent, and the pass rush has not always arrived quickly enough to mask issues on the back end. Fixing one area without addressing the others will not be enough, because these problems feed into each other. What stands out most is that the Cowboys are rarely being dominated outright. Instead, they are losing control through small mistakes that compound over time. A missed block here, a blown assignment there, and suddenly a comfortable lead feels fragile. That lack of killer instinct has defined this stretch of football. The team shows it can impose its will early, but struggles to maintain that edge once adjustments are made and pressure rises. As the season continues to unfold, these patterns are becoming impossible to dismiss. The talent level suggests a team capable of much more than what has been displayed in second halves. The numbers, both on the ground and through the air, support that belief. What is missing is consistency, cohesion, and the ability to respond when opponents push back. Until those elements come together, every strong start will carry the same lingering question of whether the Cowboys can sustain it when the game truly demands it. As the focus shifts beyond individual games and toward the bigger picture, the Cowboys find themselves at a crossroads that feels familiar, yet increasingly urgent. The remaining weeks are no longer just about wins and losses, but about clarity. Every snap provides information, and every performance helps define who truly fits into the future vision of this team. That reality places enormous weight on evaluation, especially in areas that have repeatedly shown cracks throughout the season. The offensive line remains the most pressing concern, and it influences nearly every other offensive issue. When protection breaks down, timing collapses. Routes that are designed to develop never get the chance, and the quarterback is forced into survival mode. Dak Prescott has managed this pressure admirably at times, but the cumulative effect of constant hits cannot be ignored. Even the most experienced quarterbacks begin to feel phantom pressure. When trust in protection erodes, this directly affects decision-making, particularly late in games when defenses increase pressure and disguise coverage more aggressively. Right tackle continues to feel like a temporary solution rather than a settled position. Players have rotated through, each offering something different, but none providing a sense of long-term security. That instability forces the offense to adjust on the fly, limiting the playbook and making tendencies easier to read. On the left side, similar uncertainty lingers. Facing elite pass rushers without a dependable anchor becomes a weekly gamble, and too often, the odds have not favored Dallas. These are not problems that can be patched with scheme alone. They demand personnel upgrades and continuity. Despite those challenges, the Cowboys have managed to keep their offense functional, largely because of their commitment to the running game. When executed properly, it controls tempo and creates balance. Defenders are forced to respect play action, and the passing lanes open up. The issue rises when this balance disappears in critical moments. In games where the Cowboys accumulate over 400 total yards, failing to turn that dominance into decisive scoring exposes inefficiency rather than inability. Red zone struggles, in particular, point to execution breakdowns that go beyond raw talent. Dak Prescott's role in these moments draws scrutiny, but it is important to view his performance within context. He has delivered accurate throws, extended plays, and shown leadership in difficult situations. At the same time, certain sacks and stalled drives reveal a system that does not always put him in the best position to succeed. Quarterback play is rarely isolated. It reflects the health of the line, the clarity of routes, and the trust built through repetition. When any of those elements falter, the entire operation feels the impact. On the defensive side of the ball, the need for change feels even more pronounced. The Cowboys have struggled to prevent explosive plays, and that issue alone has swung the momentum of multiple games. Big gains demoralize a defense and energize an opponent, erasing advantages built through long offensive drives, whether it comes from missed tackles, poor angles, or blown coverages. The result is the same: drives that should end quietly turn into sudden scoring threats. Linebacker play has been inconsistent, especially in coverage. Running backs and tight ends have found space far too easily, exploiting hesitation and miscommunication. When the second level fails to close windows, the secondary is left exposed. This creates a chain reaction where defensive backs are forced to choose between aggressive plays and safe positioning, often resulting in neither. Improving this unit will require both smarter scheme deployment and better personnel fits. The pass rush, while effective in flashes, has not been relentless enough to cover these deficiencies. Pressure that arrives a second late might as well not arrive at all in today's league. Quarterbacks are too quick and receivers too precise, without consistent disruption up front. Coverage weaknesses are magnified. The Cowboys have seen firsthand how this imbalance leads to long drives and points surrendered in moments where stops are desperately needed. Special teams, often overlooked, also deserve attention in this evaluation phase. Field position can quietly dictate the flow of a game, and small mistakes in coverage or returns compound the challenges faced by both offense and defense. In close contests, these margins matter. Cleaning up execution here does not require dramatic overhaul, but it does demand focus and accountability as the season winds down. The front office faces difficult decisions. A mid-first round draft position brings opportunity, but also pressure to identify immediate contributors. Needs are clear across multiple positions, from offensive line to defensive backfield to linebacker. Drafting well is not just about talent, but about fit. Players must align with the scheme and possess the adaptability to grow as the system evolves. Misses at this stage can set a team back for years, while hits can redefine identity. Retaining key contributors is another balancing act. George Pickens stands out as a player whose presence shapes defensive game plans. His ability to stretch the field forces coverage adjustments that benefit the entire offense. Letting that kind of talent walk would create another hole to fill, one that is not easily replaced. Continuity matters, especially for a team already grappling with inconsistency. Coaching decisions will inevitably come under scrutiny as well. Offensive adjustments in the second half have not consistently countered defensive changes. That speaks to preparation, adaptability, and communication. On defense, recurring issues suggest that philosophy and execution may not be aligned. Addressing these concerns does not always mean sweeping changes, but it does require honest self-assessment and willingness to evolve. There is also the question of how the Cowboys approach the final stretch of games. Giving younger players meaningful reps can accelerate development and provide clarity on depth. At the same time, maintaining a competitive standard is essential for culture. Striking that balance is difficult, but necessary. Evaluations made under real game pressure carry far more weight than practice impressions. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the league, whispers are growing louder that MAXX Crosby could be the latest high-profile addition to the Dallas Cowboys defensive line. Known for his relentless motor and game-changing ability to disrupt defenses, Crosby has been a cornerstone of elite pass-rushing units, and the prospect of him lining up alongside Micah Parsons has ignited the imaginations of fans and analysts alike. While no official confirmation has been issued, insiders suggest that conversations between Crosby's camp and the Cowboys front office have reached an advanced stage, fueling speculation that the star edge rusher could bring an immediate impact to a defense that has shown flashes of brilliance but also inconsistency in key moments. The potential fit seems almost too perfect to ignore. Crosby's speed off the edge, combined with his knack for chasing quarterbacks downfield, could complement Dallas' existing defensive schemes, allowing coordinator Dan Quinn more flexibility in blitz packages and coverage rotations. Observers note that pairing Crosby with Parsons creates a nightmare scenario for opposing offenses, as both players possess a rare combination of athleticism, football IQ, and sheer relentless pursuit. Rumors even hint that internal discussions within the Cowboys organization revolve around maximizing Crosby's role not just as a pass rusher, but as a versatile weapon, capable of lining up in multiple spots along the defensive front. Fans have already taken to social media speculating about how Crosby's presence could elevate the team's defensive identity, with some predicting that the Cowboys could shift toward a more aggressive, disruptive approach reminiscent of some of the league's top defenses in recent years. Even veteran analysts admit that, if Crosby were to join, the team's front seven would instantly become one of the most feared units in the NFL behind closed doors. League insiders claim that negotiations are ongoing, and while nothing is set in stone, the mere possibility has set off a wave of excitement in Dallas. The rumor, if true, could signal the beginning of a defensive makeover that aims to make the Cowboys' defense as headline-grabbing as their offense for now. Fans and pundits alike are left to wonder, could MAXX Crosby really be the final piece that transforms the Cowboys into a defensive powerhouse? Only time and perhaps a bold announcement from the team will tell, but speculation alone has already created a buzz that shows no signs of fading. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.